Good morning. My name is Ash Singh, and I am an ex-oil guy here in Texas, a bit of a cowboy looking for some startup investments. Tell me, Alex, how you doing today?
Good. Hi, Ash. This is Alex from NIMBUSID. I'm a physician and inventor of neural mindprint, a patented solution disrupting the identity authentication market, which is projected to grow from $25 to $50 billion in 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Many people hate passwords. I'm guessing you do too.
Mm-hmm.
I've been hacked not once, but 5 times. Is there
Wow.
a simpler, yet secure, and easier solution? Ash, do you know your mind can be a biometric password?
Mm.
Your brain in action, like when you're thinking, proves your mind that created account to log in is your mind and not someone else. Let me
Mm.
show how it works. When you set up an account, you create stories. Then our system then picks them apart and mix with other stories. When you
Mm.
log in, you see few parts of your story mixed with unrelated stories. In this example,
Mm.
Julie Gomez, so when I'm logging into my phone, I see a story here. Julie Gomez on top blue triggers my mind to find items related to Julie Gomez. I
Got
just
it.
click them 3 times and I'm logged in. I
Got it.
prove myself and I'm in.
Got
Fast
it.
and easy for you to click items you already know, but hard for the hacker. New
Excellent.
Mindprint is your digital password to your online accounts.
Mm.
As you are raising $5 billion to target government, infrastructure, financial, healthcare, and legal sectors. Happy to have a cup of coffee next week with you. Thank
Excellent.
you.
Thank you. Great, Alex. Thank you for sharing that. And in the chat, let's get Nimbus ID some feedback. Okay. You're looking to raise $5 million for this.
Correct.
And just so for the audience, right? So just I'll share a little bit about what I'm thinking. Right, we know that the authentication market is a very valuable market. We hear about hacking and all this stuff that's done all the time. Alex, tell us a little bit about because there's a lot of people tackling this, right? So in my mind, I was wondering, how much better is this as an authentication measure versus, because we start off with username and password. Okay. Then we've moved to 2-point authentication, right? Where you have to use your mobile phone. And then you have fingerprint, you have biometrics, you have, all these components. Tell us a little bit about, in terms of the next generation platforms that are being developed right now. What is their security level, and how is your platform easier, better? Tell us a little bit about that comparison, because I wanted to know that and didn't come out in your pitch. Go ahead.
So Ash, when I got hacked many times, 5 times in the past,
Mm.
I got upset and I decided I will solve this problem. So when I actually researched, what I found out is authentication, which we think proves it's us, is not really true. It only proves whoever possesses the token or the key is provided access by the system. That's number one. Number two, all the access key in the market today, even biometrics, are static, meaning it can be copied or phished, and then you're hacked. So
Mm.
what I did was reinvent the concept of authentication via identity test. So my brain proves myself to any computing device. It's my persona. Right now, it's the device that proves it's you, so they attack the device and everybody gets hacked. So
Mm.
if you have this unlimited identity test in your human brain and you use that contextual association, then it doesn't matter what device you come through. You can prove yourself and your granted access and not someone else. There is trust between the service providers and the consumer that it's you coming in and not someone else, if that makes sense.
Understood. Understood. Okay.
So your human mind now is your biometric password. We have unlimited access for every time you log in.
Sure. Alex, so what you're saying is that even with the new password authentication, right? Your phone, your fingerprint, your eyes, all of this stuff can be copied. correct?
100%.
All of it can be copied. The only thing that can't, like, and obviously we've spent a lot of time with different startups. We've seen some people that have attempted to do heart rate, right? I guess maybe heart rate itself can probably be replicated as well. Is that a safe, you know?
I don't know that I can answer that, but it's extremely inconvenient that you require a device to register your heart rate. My concept is you come into any device, your device I can borrow and log in. So there is no device dependency. So you are free to log in to any of your account anywhere, anytime, regardless of any device.
Got it.
You gotta make it simpler, secure, and very convenient for the user.
So what happens is that what you're saying is that this is, because you're using your mind and your brain, that is something that just can't be copied just because of the way you think, right? How you think cannot be copied.
How you think cannot be copied, or it's very hard to copy. That's number one. Number two, keep in mind our authentication or our identity test is one time. So that if you hack my brain with a gun, next time it's different. It's not pervasive, if that makes sense.
Understood. And so what you do is you ask, so because I wanted to explain this, and I know that it's difficult over Zoom or on a podcast to fully explain it, but I want to try to do it without somebody looking at a phone, Alex, right? And so what you do is, in order for you to make this work, the way I would simply describe it is you kind of ask us a couple of questions about what's on their mind, right? Okay. And you combine that with other types of similar stories, and you can use that as a simple, quick authentication to know that it's the right person, right? And so for me, the other thing around passwords, right? Because you think about headache. Number one is you've said that it can't be copied. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is once they set up, 5 or 10 items about what's on their mind, then what happens is that when you need to authenticate using your embeddable snippet on any website, it's very quick, correct? Bang, 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 right? I don't have to worry about, capitals and exclamation, all of that weirdness, because our brains don't think like that, right? What you're doing is you just use your thumb and you have to put, the story in the right order, and it'll know that it's you, correct?
It just puts parts of the story because your mind already knows them. It's very quick. You click 1, 2, 3, and you're done.
How fast is it relative to putting in a regular password?
Faster than a password.
Of course. But that didn't come out, Alex. I wanted to know that. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's uncopyable, right? Because it's your mind, okay? Everything else is still copyable. And the other thing is once it's set up, it's quick, right? You can use your thumb and you're in, right? Versus typing in, right? It's like, it's instant, practically instantaneous, it's faster, right? So and the other thing is I also wanted to know how easy this is to implement across at least the digital world, right? So for instance, I'm using this, they have CAPTCHAs on websites. I wanted to know how fast it was to implement, right? So I like your idea, Alex. I want to use it. I run a website and I require authentication, and I want to have username and password as well as Nimbus ID. How fast is it for me to implement on my WordPress or my learning management system?
About a minute.
Okay. So you have the APIs and everything mapped out already, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing is that you talked about you got hacked 5 times, and I apologize. It's sad to hear that you were hacked 5 times, Alex. Clearly, you're a person of repute. Most people, usually successful, rich people are hacked more than unsuccessful people. So, you've been hacked 5 times, which means that you're a man of repute. My question to you is, how big of this is a problem for your audience, right? So the people that are going to be using it, how many people get hacked and how much money is lost every year because of this?
So in 2017, the global loss to fraud, online fraud, was $500 billion. 81% of that due to stolen credentials. So about $410 billion. You cannot steal my credential because it's not useful for next login. So you could have saved the world about $400 billion.
But Alex, did you bring this up in your pitch?
I was gonna do, but I had to re-edit.
No. But do you get what I'm saying? It's a huge problem, right? Just to remind people, right? Because I know Alex has been hacked 5 times, but I want to know how big of a problem this is to everyone, right? So you got hacked 5 times, but it's also costing the world $400 billion a year. Is that fair?
That was in 2017. It's probably higher now.
Probably higher, right? Okay, got that. Anything else? Anything else? You're looking for money to get this going. You need $5 million for this, right?
Yeah.
Would you like me to pitch your idea to you, Alex?
Yes, please.
Okay. And so, Alex, you get to be anyone you want to be in Texas,
okay.
Right? I apologize. My Texas accent was pretty terrible in the beginning. But, I used to watch cowboy films as a young child, so I've always aspired to be a cowboy myself. But we'll hit the top of the elevator and you introduce yourself and I will pitch NIMBUSID to you. Okay?
Okay. Hi, Ash. This is Warren Buffett. Ash, I'm ready to invest in a company that can put an end to my password bombs, which I can't remember. And I've been hacked many times.
Well,
I hate passwords.
Well, it's
simple, fast, and convenient. I heard you're the guy. Let's hear it.
Well, thank you, Mr. Buffett. It's a real pleasure to meet you. I know that you have a lot of investments in the insurance space, but the best insurance we have on the planet is people. And I don't know if you know this, but passwords and hacked passwords and the loss from fraud is actually almost a $500 billion problem around the world. And what we've seen, sir, as you know, you probably do username and password, and then you authenticate with your phone. Some people now have fingerprints, or use their eyes, because, but all of this stuff can be copied. The one thing that you cannot copy, okay, is how your mind works. And so we've spent the last several years trying to figure out, and we've now been able to achieve a way of authenticating very quickly what the person is thinking, and that is the best way to authenticate because it can never be copied. And basically what we do is we ask a couple of questions. We ask you when you set up what's on your mind. We understand certain elements and stories in your life. And based on that, any website on the planet can leverage our APIs, plug it in, and instead of worrying about exclamation marks and cap locks, you just move your thumb and give us some information, and to some of the best authentic elements on the planet, statistically, we are able to authenticate you in less than half the time that you typically do, right? We're looking for $5 million to take this to the next level. We want to be able to implement this across the globe, and we have all the pieces in place. We're looking for growth capital to expand this and become the de facto standard for online authentication for corporates as well as users around the world. Would love to chat to you further, sir, over a coffee to see if you're interested to be a part of this.
Good job. Thank you, Ash.
All right. So what I did, I talked about the problem. I talked about how the current stuff sucks. Okay. And you can probably do a better job at that. And then I talked about, how it was when you use it, it's just very easy to do. You just, ask a couple of trigger questions and the system will be able to authenticate at a factor of 99 point whatever percent. I didn't give a number, right? But because you know this better than me. And then finally, what I wanted them to leave with was the fact that it's just very easy to implement, right? And every single website is going to use this, right? Because it's about painting the picture, Alex, right? When we think about going on to websites, we can now visualize, the CAPTCHA that we all see, to prove that you're not a robot. You are the next generation CAPTCHA. That's what you are. Okay. Right. But you're authenticating as well. You're doing it at another level. And that's a huge bit. Like, that is a very successful company, right? The guy that did that. Right. And I wanted to kind of draw a bit of a parallel because, Mr. Buffett is a little bit older, right? And I wanted to just fine tune it for him. Right. as he was thinking about this.
Actually, somebody called us capture on steroids as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you are. Now, Mr. Buffett probably wouldn't know what that word means, okay? But if I was talking to somebody who's actively building a website, it's more important. He's an insurance guy, right? He makes all his money there. And you're talking about fraud. As I was using the word fraud, the words that you use when you speak to somebody have to play to the words that have made them money. Okay. Insurance, fraud, authentication. Do you know what I mean? And then also recognize that he's a little bit older, right? So he's probably frustrated. If you saw what I did, I raised my hands and I started talking about cap locks and exclamation points. It probably bothers him, right? You know, and so always understand who you're speaking to, right? And that's why I always say, who do you want to be, right? It's not just the pitch. It's about packaging it together to understand that, you know, Warren Buffett is in his 80s right now. Okay. Right. He's not on TikTok, right? I don't think Warren Buffett is on TikTok. Right. So when we talk to it, we got to speak their language. And I attempted to do that in the, 1 minute I had to present, Alex, but love what you're working on. Okay. For those of you that have been involved in any type of, online fraud or have been hacked. Okay. We'll make sure we send the details for Alex and the NIMBUSID platform. Great company, Alex. Thank you very much for your time today. Stay safe and God bless you. Have a wonderful day, sir. Bye-bye.